from the Module 4 wrap, I wanted to go over the basic concept of gains from trade, and these are 18, 19, and 20 from that quiz. So here we have this market for ping pong paddles, and we see the firm faces a downward sloping demand curve, and we know that the firm does best by producing where it reaches the highest ISO profit line, the highest profits, given the constraint of the demand curve. All right, so from there, what do consumers gain from the chance to buy these special ping pong paddles? Well, we use this concept of producer surplus for that idea. I'm trying to change the color of the pen. There we go. Anyway, the consumer surplus uses the fact that the first person would have paid a whole lot of money, but only had to pay the going price. This is for a single price single price seller. The second person would have been willing to pay much more, but bought it for the market price. The third for the market price. Notice that each of those buyers gains a surplus in the sense that the paddle was valued to them at, say, $24, but they only had to pay $15 for it. So that first person got $9 of surplus. Well, if we were to count up the surplus, the excess of value over the price paid for each and every ping pong paddle sold in the market, we'd have consumer surplus. And that's the area under the demand curve and above the price line. So that's consumer surplus. And we're asked for a numerical value, and it was 25 as the y-intercept, and 15 is the price. So we remember that the area of a triangle is equal to 1/2 times base times height, and we've got a base of 40,000 are sold, so 1/2 times 40,000. Notice the x-axis units, that's something to pay attention to every time. And then the y-axis units are dollars per paddle, and we've got $10 per paddle. So we're left with 1/2 times 40,000 times 10, that's 20,000 times 10, that's $200,000 per month. And notice the measurement of the gains in this market are dollars per month, or dollars per whatever time period we're looking at in the market. That's really handy to have a measure of well-being in terms of dollars, because of course dollars, or whatever currency unit, if we were studying European economies, it would be euros. The currency unit gives us a unit of account that's comparable across a lot of different values in the economy. So that's a really handy measure. Producer surplus is somewhat analogous, or very analogous. Here we're looking at the difference between what producers got for the paddles relative to what they would have been happy to accept, or willing to accept, maybe is a better way to put it. Notice that each and every paddle was sold for, the yellow is not very distinct, was sold for the market price of 15. Come on. And yet that first one cost the ping pong paddle maker $1 to make. The second one sold for 15, but cost much less than that. Third one for 15. Notice if we count up the excess of price received over marginal cost, we get producer surplus. And here, nobody missed this one, which is great, but it was a little harder, because when you have this sort of inverse Nevada shaped measurement shape, you need to break it up. Well, you could do the area of a trapezoid, as some of you did. No. Anyway, you can get an area of a four-sided figure easily enough. But now I'm remembering the formula for that, but that's neither here nor there. What I find easiest to do, and most students find easiest to do, is break that up into a rectangle and a triangle, and then it becomes a really easy problem. So producer surplus is also going to be this area. It's the area of that rectangle, which is 8 units high and 40,000 units wide. 8 times 40,000 plus, and then here we have another triangle. That triangle is 6 units high and 40,000 Y. 1/2 times 40,000 times 6. And that works out to be 320,000 plus 120,000. 1/2 times 40,000 is 20,000, times 6 is 120,000. And in total, that's $440,000 per month. And that's B. Well, the first one, I didn't say which letter it is, it's D. And then the deadweight loss, to finish this up, the deadweight loss, I'll use color red for that. Notice that there's some inefficiency at the market outcome in the sense that the Pareto inefficiency, we could have made one or both parties better off without hurting anybody by selling one more unit. Notice the buyer was willing to pay more than it cost the seller to receive, or the seller was willing to receive. So there was this gains from trade from one more unit, the next unit. This whole, the efficient level was 60,000 paddles per month, but we only produced 40. So there's all this red area here are the gains from trade that didn't occur in the market outcome relative to the efficient total surplus. So that's the gains from trade that didn't happen because we fell short of producing the efficient outcome in this market. And that's another area of a triangle. I'm sort of out of room, but let's just squeegee it in here. Deadweight loss is equal to 1/2 times, what's the base is 20,000, times a height of 8. So deadweight loss is equal to $80,000 per month. And that would be answer C there. So this is a really important idea in economics. It's the basis for a lot of our value judgments about whether one policy is better or worse than another policy. It's not the only criterion we use to evaluate market outcomes, but it's the most important one to evaluate the efficiency or lack thereof of particular outcomes. And of course, the equity matters too.